Hello, hello. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Femme de la Femme podcast. If you've listened to us before, welcome back. Today, we've got a guest speaker, Chiara. Welcome,
Hello.
Chiara.
Thank
Hello,
you.
hello, hello.
Hello. Thank you so
Uh,
much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for coming through. And for this week's topic, we want to talk about the differences between being a group artist compared to being a solo artist. So, Chiara, can you please give us a little bit of your artist bio? Who are you, and what do you do? Like, what kind of music you make, and etc.
Sure. So, this is always the toughest question to answer, to be honest, as an
I know,
artist.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. But I'm prepared because I thought actually about the people that I am more like inspired by, and one of my queen, my absolute queen, is Beyonce. And I love the fact
Oh, yes.
that she says she's having an alter ego when she's on stage, and I can relate with it. Almost like every project that I'm having, it's a part of me.
Mm.
So I would say I'm even having different alter egos considering the genre that I'm approaching. So
Mm.
Chiara, as a singer-songwriter, Chiara Filomeni, is in love with ballads and sad stories. There is always like an optimistic message after all the sadness that I'm describing and all the tough moments that I'm putting in music just to release them and share with people. But then Chiara, as a band member of Double Exposure, my new project, is a storyteller, is a listener as well, because when you're working with other people, and in this case with my partner in music and life,
Mm.
you inevitably are sharing some other parts of you. So if Chiara Filomeni is a ballad girl, Chiara, as a member of Double Exposure, is more into the synth wave, kind of retro wave vibe. So these nostalgic sounds of the 80s that we are trying to
Ooh.
embrace in our music. So yeah, so it really, really depends on what I'm doing and with who I'm doing this with. And I'm actually very happy that the topic of this podcast is talking about group artists and solo artists, because I feel like it gives you options as well
Mm-hmm.
to experiment, to never get bored, to keep going and keep doing music in a very different way. So yes, this is a little
Yeah,
bit
wow.
me in terms of what I'm doing right now in the music. And my background is actually, I'm Italian originally, and I moved to London already 7 years ago. And since I arrived here, I finally found myself entirely in terms of my music personality. Back to Italy, I've had lots of experiences, but it was a bit tougher. I was a little bit the Hannah Montana of of the situation. So I was
Oh
like
my God.
under, undercover, studying at uni, doing economics and languages,
Yes.
completely normal life. And then as soon as I could, going back on stage and performing. So yeah, since I'm here, I am a singer-songwriter and a vocal coach, and that's all I'm doing in my life.
Wow, that's awesome. I love how you mentioned like Beyonce and like Hannah Montana, because I feel like, I can totally relate to that in terms of like, having an alter ego. Because yeah, like I feel like I have to sort of step into a character almost when I'm performing live, because the Tika is like, very kind of like shy and kind of introverted a little bit and stuff like that. But like, my artist name Sartika is like, it's which is also my name, but like I treat it as like an alter ego. Like this is something, this is someone who is comfortable on stage and confident and all that stuff. And yeah, and like with the Hannah Montana stuff, I can definitely relate, like living in both world, like having a double life. Yeah, that's that's the word I
Yes,
was.
yes,
That's
that's
it. Yeah.
definitely.
Actually, I did a little bit of stalking before we jump on this call, and like, um, I saw, yeah, because I saw you and your partner, I guess like your band, and I thought it was like a jazz kind of duo. So when you said like, synthy kind of retro sound, that was kind of like, oh, this is not what I expected. So yeah, elaborate.
Well, that's interesting that you're mentioning it, because that's another part of us as a band.
Okay.
So we trying to keep it separate for now, because I feel like, again, people need to put you in a box somehow. You need to be categorized. So it might be confusing for people to see this as a just one big thing, which is, to be honest, it is in the end, because this is what we're doing. But when we're doing covers and when we are performing live in London, we mainly doing soul and jazz, but this is more for us to build this sense of awareness of who we are as musicians. But then our very, very new project, we just released one song, actually, Electric Love is already out.
Amazing.
Yes, and this is like full on 80s vibe, but the nostalgic part of it. So it's less maybe dancey and more like meditative and warm. Yeah.
And I guess, yeah, it's important to be versatile and,
Yeah.
be like, being able to like sort of sing different styles of music,
Yeah.
like, depending on what venues and events that you're trying to play
Exactly.
at. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so cool. Yeah, you mentioned your partner is your bandmate, I guess.
Yeah.
So like, how did you guys get together, and like what made you come up with the idea to like form a band,
Mhm.
so to speak? Yeah.
So, well, that's a very long story. I'm gonna try to keep it short.
Okay.
Sorry. No, basically, we started playing together as a band at uni. So we started at the same university here in London, and so we first started being friends, and then suddenly I was kicked out from my previous apartment because the landlord decided to take the property back. Horrible things that are
Oh,
happening sometimes in
I
the city.
hate when that happens.
Yes, so it was extremely tough. So I was in that moment of my life where am I gonna leave? Am I gonna find a place? And exactly in the same moment, Daniel, my partner, he was having a flatmate, and this flatmate decided to go back to Poland for good because Daniel is Polish. And yeah, so he texted me like 2 days after I opened this conversation, saying like, guys, if you know something, I said to him and to the rest of the band, if you know any place where I can go and live, please let me know. And he texted me, he's like, are you still looking for a place? Because actually my flatmate is leaving. And yeah, so this is how we got in the same
Wow.
yeah. So first we were friends, then we were flatmates, then pandemic happened and we were stuck together. And so we started knowing each other better, and slowly we understood that there was something more than just a friendship, and this is how we got together as well as a couple in life. And actually during pandemic we started writing songs together. I guess having lots of time to chat, to talk, opened up different parts of us as well. I love the way our music is almost like a great conversation. So we were opening up to each other and telling each other stories and talking about love and what love means. And in the end, this is all Double Exposure is as a project, is talking about love in lots of different ways. For now, chapter 1 is actually a tough love, a heartbreaking love, a love that is almost living, so two people that are almost living two parallel lives, and they cannot be together. They cannot blend, even though they living very similar lives. So there is a video also on YouTube that I'm gonna link later on.
Nice.
If you're curious, where we're showing even like how those two people, it doesn't really matter if it's me or Daniel or anybody in the world, two people that wish to be together and they cannot somehow find each other yet. This is how we like it as well. We keep writing, we keep telling each other stories, we keep sharing music. So even if we live together, sometimes maybe Daniel is going to come up and say, you know what, I just found the perfect sound, come and listen. And then from there, maybe I'm starting writing a melody line. And then we think, okay, so what is this story about? And it's really like a proper collaboration. So we're doing mostly everything together, and it's beautiful. It just works. So yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. Like the whole story is just so fascinating, because like I've never heard of like a pandemic love story before. And also more than that, it's like, you guys are collaborating on music together. It's like some, the movie like Music and Lyrics or something like that. Yeah, basically just like two guys. I think the guy, like Hugh Grant, is a songwriter, and Drew Barrymore is like she goes in and like water his plant or something, and then they started like writing music together, and then they fell in love and all that stuff. So you should watch it. Yeah,
I should watch it, definitely.
So Double Exposure, you guys consider yourself a group artist?
Yes, I mean, this is interesting actually, because I've done some research. Maybe the way we see musicians themselves. So like, I feel like a group artist, it can be expanded to different arts as well.
Yeah.
And a band is very much music related. That's my personal opinion, obviously. I don't know if this is the truth, but I feel like I imagine a group artist like a group of people that are having the same concept, and they're trying to build this up in different ways. So there might be visual arts as well, not music related. That's my opinion. Rather than like having a band is, I mean, normalized as musicians coming together and writing songs specifically. So their main goal is to serve the music, and a group artist could just serve any art.
I've just been familiar with the term band. Like that's what I've always known. Like this is like group artist is like something that I just like I guess came across recently, and that makes so much sense. So I feel like a lot of artists are doing being a solo becoming a solo artist nowadays, as opposed to being in a band or like as a group artist. Do you think it's worth them considering like having bandmates and becoming a band or like a group artist instead? Or I mean, just from your experience, I guess, like I feel like it's great to have like a co-writers and collaborator, I guess. What do you think?
I think it's this is hard to define nowadays, because the music industry is giving us lot of pressure. And it's almost like everything needs to be extremely fast, and everybody needs to be able to do everything, basically. So you need to have so many skills as an artist that there are plenty of responsibilities and stressful moments that most of the time they make you feel also a little bit lonely and isolated. In my opinion, at least this is my personal experience, even with Double Exposure, I felt almost relieved. I felt like this was my moment where I could share my thoughts and my fears and my excitement. So everything is shared and everything feels lighter. So if I would recommend, I mean, I would definitely recommend to have a band, but mainly for this reason, for the idea of collaborating and sharing and just feeling less lonely. It's so hard to have also real connections in this world. Everything is so fast and artificial that when you find something so real, you need to stick with it. That's my opinion. And there was a beautiful, I mean, I love him. He passed away, unfortunately. Ezio Bosso. He used to be a great pianist, and he was sick for a very long time. And he always mentioned like how for him music, it can be done only in one way, together. This is what he was always saying.
Oh wow!
And that's so true. It's hard to say it's hard to imagine music as something just for yourself. Even when you are a solo artist, in the end, the main point is to be delivered to the people and to share it with them and to receive feedbacks and to relate with people. So it doesn't really matter, most probably, if you're a solo artist or a band artist, but then you want this connection. You want to share. If you don't share, what's the point of the art, right? We rarely do art for ourselves. It's not how it works, in my opinion, at least.
I definitely I share that sentiment a lot in terms of having like a bandmates. For like, performing perspective, like I get bad stage fright sometimes, and like I used to be in a girl group as well, so like whenever we're like on stage together, the energy is great, like we're just feeding off of each other's energy, and like you feel so much more confident like when there's someone else on stage sharing that experience with you. Songwriting wise though, like I was kind of struggling with like writing with other people. Like I think it stemmed from like writing in the studio with the producer that you're paying like hourly kind of thing. I feel like I always have to, like I feel some sort of like pressure or weight trying to write in the studio. Like I always have to do it at home alone, come up with the lyrics, because there's no one judging, no one's waiting on me and all that stuff, and then I come to the studio and record. So like when you say that you're writing with your partner, it's like I feel like it's just such a vulnerable thing that you're doing. And
it is. I'm not gonna lie, it is.
Yeah,
it is strange as well, because you are in a moment, you are maybe even oversharing somehow. You put on the spot, so I do understand. Well, to be fair, I guess in our case, it's very much about our relationship as a couple as well. So maybe it is easier. It's not easy, but it is easier because we have this intimacy as a couple that reflects on our music as well. But I completely relate with what you're saying, especially I think with lyrics, because melodies somehow are easier to share. And even if you add an extra note that maybe you're not going to use, you're fine with it. But then if you add an extra word, and this is the word that actually you feel more vulnerable, and maybe it's going to be judged somehow, or it's going to take off. I do understand. It is a bit scary. But, but at the same time, if you think about it, not all the process of the song needs to be shared. Like I feel like you can definitely collaborate, and every person can have a certain role. So if, for example, you as a lyricist, you feel more comfortable to be sitting in your room and just writing something personal and edit it and then delivering once you are happy with it, nothing wrong with this, and it's still beautiful and you're still sharing, and then you are in a moment when even if something needs to be changed, you are aware of it, you are comfortable with it, because otherwise you wouldn't even share it with other people. So I think compromises are always the best.
So would you say it's important to kind of start a group or like collaborate with musicians that has a similar style to you, like similar kind of interest in music? And like how did you agree on what sort of music to create? Do you just start with like jamming together and like just come up with sounds that you like together?
Yeah, I mean, in our case, actually, was pretty for Double Exposure. It was pretty clear because Daniel is obsessed with analog synths, but to the point that we have a room dedicated to synths.
So cool.
Yes, it's almost scary because it's like so much equipment all in one room, and I'm like, I'm trying to not even look at this. I'm like, this is too much. So it is very intense, but this is it was extremely easy for us to start writing in this sense, finding some sonorities, because to be honest, if I need to be like extremely honest with you, the way it exactly started was because we thought we wanted to record like a short reel for his Instagram page. We thought, okay, you have so much equipment, let's do something fun just for sharing some sounds. And this is when we had the revelation, because he he created some chords with a certain sound, and we were like, okay, no, this is more than just a reel. We cannot just keep it like a 1 minute long only instrumental. It needs a story.
Cool.
So yeah, so in this particular case, I would say it was quite natural. In terms of, in general, creating a band and having similar style, I would say yes and no, because when you are too similar, you have less ideas. And it's almost like if you would have a mirror, right? The feedback is always going to be the same because you're basically talking with yourself. So it's a great feeling to also maybe share something that is not exactly what the other person is familiar with, having different backgrounds, different stories, different cultures. I even noticed how, for sure, my Italian background and Daniel's Polish background coming together in London, it is inevitably shaping us and creating something new. So maybe this is even the beauty of collaborating. Maybe it doesn't have to be exactly straightforward and thinking, okay, you enjoy this style, all right, we need to collaborate. I just did like a cover with a pianist that approached me on Instagram. He lives in London, and I think he's from Lithuania. And he just texted me and said, like, I love Einaudi. So he's an Italian pianist, very famous of the world. And he's doing covers with the piano. And he said, like, I want you to sing on top of it. And I am not very familiar with classical music. But then I listened to the song and I listened to the version that he wanted me to sing. And I was like, sure, why not? That's beautiful. It's just, I don't know. So it's just another example to say, like, why not to create something new because you have a different background? Daniel himself, he's having a classical background. He studied classical piano for 9-10 years. So all his life was focused on this. And then he came to London and started playing funk and pop. And from that, plus my love for ballads, we found a compromise in the 80s sonorities. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah. Having, like, people coming from different sort of like styles, I guess you can kind of fuse it and create something new and different. And also, like, it exposes you to like a style of music or songs or genre that you are not familiar with, and then that you've grown to fall in love with. So that's awesome. So yeah, you mentioned earlier that in terms of songwriting, it's kind of like 50-50 with you and Daniel. What about like in terms of management? Like, how do you delegate common tasks when it comes to just like business side? Who does what kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, I'm a planner. Like, this is my nature.
Yes.
I love planning. Just give me pen and paper and I'm gonna write everything down and I will know exactly what to do and when.
Amazing.
So this is definitely my field. Other than that, we are helping each other, I would say, because my nature is also, yes, I am a planner, but at the same time, I'm also very impulsive. When I have something that it interests me, I just want to go for it straight away. So the planning part comes somehow even thanks to the fact that Daniel is telling me, okay, wait a second, let's sit, let's have a conversation. So why are we doing this? Who are we doing this for? And all those questions that are coming, I am embracing them and then I'm elaborating a plan. So I feel he is more reflective. He's thinking more. He's having also very good ideas in terms of maybe how to market this. He's working in the marketing field as well. This is his daily job.
Right.
He's a social media executive. Yes, I'm saying this correctly. So, even just the knowledge that he's having at work, he's trying to share them with me as much as possible. And we starting figuring out how we want to do it and what we want to create. So in the end, it's, again, I would still describe it as a conversation. It's hard to say who is having more impact on what, because only if you start talking, then you can shape your own opinions as well. You can change your mind. You can learn something new. So yeah, really hard to define. But yeah, but I can say I'm a planner. Yes, that's all I'm saying.
There's a lot of transparency there, and also it's not just you doing all the work, which is great.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah. In terms of, I guess, like, yeah, in terms of the business side, do you have some sort of agreement? I know you guys are, like, you're obviously your life partners, like, you're in a relationship, like, but you guys talk about like having some sort of agreement, kind of royalty split type of thing, those kind of deals, like, yeah, what's going on behind that?
Yeah, no, definitely. We always saying like the rule number one is not to lie. So we need to keep being honest with each other, and we also need to face the fact that even though right now things are going really well and we're very happy, it might change. Maybe it will never change, but it might. So we always said like whatever we're gonna do together, it needs to be very clear how we split in this. It's still a job, even though it's a great passion. Let's not forget the music is a job. It is a profession. It needs to be defined. It needs to be named somehow. And we always doing it. From the very beginning, we said, whatever happens, for now, it's not a written agreement, but we even thought about it, even maybe to just create like a very quick contract or something. Why not? Just to have something clear saying like, okay, but even in the future, whatever business we want to do together, we have some ideas that we're trying to develop, and we always thinking it needs to be separate from our private life, because things might change. Life changes all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the same as like, real life relationship, like communication is key.
Very true.
Transparency. Yeah. Awesome. That's great. What are your long-term goals with Double Exposure?
Well, as I mentioned, we just released Electric Love, so our first single, but we're planning to release other singles, and then also having a full EP out.
Cool.
And since this is a very timeless genre, we just want to keep going and keep evolving and keep having new influences, and maybe collaborating with new musicians and producers and DJs. Why not? We also want to start performing with it, because this is going to be a bit trickier, because if it would be for us, we would bring on stage all the analog synths, but it's physically impossible. So we need to be realistic and say, okay, we need to make a choice. Which baby are we bringing on stage? So that's gonna be this is work in progress. We're thinking, okay, how we can have a nice set that is interesting on stage, but also not overcomplicated, because things, they need to happen on the spot. So it needs to be pretty straightforward. So plan is to start performing, keep releasing, keep collaborating, and yeah, this is just the beginning, to be honest.
That's so cool. Yeah, what about for your, because you're also a solo artist. Like, what's the plan for that?
Okay. This is always more complicated, but my idea is that I will never stop collaborating and writing with other people and releasing songs by myself, because I don't want to limit myself. This is the moment when I want to keep exploring, I want to keep learning, I want to keep meeting people. As I said, today I just released a cover of a beautiful tune by an Audi with another pianist. So I'm also having the band called Unmute with some R&B soul songs. So and I'm the lead singer. So I will always be out there somehow with parts of my soul. And Chiara Filomeni, so my solo artist, is one of them, and it will always be present. Maybe more in Italian for now. We'll see. For now, I feel like Chiara Filomeni is definitely the Italian part of me. Not only because it's having my name, but also is the very first part of my soul that went out there. This is how I started. So yeah, I will keep going as well with my solo artists.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I actually I went on your website and listened to like one of the songs. That was so cool. I've never heard anything like it, and yeah, that's amazing. That's interesting. So obviously you're gonna keep like writing your own solo music as well, which is great because I think what I found as well being a band previously, it's like you have to kind of compromise a lot with like in a band. So having your own creative outlet of like, you know, your own music, what you want to like purely what you want to write, which is great. Like it's just, you know, it just balances things out. Yeah. So like what do you find is the main differences between like being a solo artist to as opposed to being in a group?
If I would need to sum up this in one word, I would say responsibility.
Okay.
It can be quite heavy to have all the responsibilities on yourself and only relying on yourself. At the same time, you have all the control. So it always comes with the other side of the coin, right? So you have more responsibilities, but you have all the control and you can decide and you have all the credits and that's all on you in every aspect. So pros and cons. Like I said, even like I mentioned even before, a group artist is or a band, it's you feel a sense of belonging and you feel that you can share everything, successes and failures. They might happen. All the stressful moments are definitely easier to handle when you can talk with somebody that are the same thing. So yeah, and you can delegate. So the fact that everyone can do some things and it's not only on you is definitely like a way, like it's like a breath, you know. I feel like you can breathe more deeply. Yeah. But again, maybe you need to compromise in a way that some decisions are not going to be entirely on you. So you need to face the fact that you might not enjoy entirely something, but because the majority is agreeing with this, you just need to deal with it. Yeah, pros and cons. It's hard to say what's best, but I think they're both very much valid and worth to explore. It depends also on your personality, I guess. We all different.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess that was actually a great advice for I guess musicians out there that are thinking of, you know, like just making their mind up about whether to pursue music as a solo artist or as a group. Yeah, just like list all the pros and cons and like find out what your goals are. Yeah, like you don't have to do everything yourself. You can always just share the load, I guess.
Yes.
Well, I think that's all from our agenda. But yeah, thank you so much, Chiara. That was awesome. That was amazing conversation. Awesome. So like obviously you are Chiara Filomeni and also you're as part of Double Exposure. Like where can people find you? Like let us know.
All right. So definitely Instagram. So we have the Double Exposure page and the TikTok. Oh, we have a small guest. I got impacted. I love it. So yes, Double Exposure on Instagram and TikTok and Spotify and all the digital platforms. Chiara Filomeni as well on all the digital platforms. I will give you all the links to add to the social media. And what I can say to the people that are listening to us, follow me on any page that you think it's relevant for you. That's the beauty of having different platforms and different alter egos like Beyonce. Whatever you're gonna enjoy the most, they can feel free to just follow me and chat with me anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. Okay, so just wrapping up. So we've talked about obviously the differences between being a group artist and a solo artist. So bands are predominantly just within that music kind of sphere. As opposed to a group artist, it can be like cross-disciplinary, like you can be there can be like a musician and like a visual artist within that group. But yeah, like within a band or a group artist, it's important to sort of have that transparency and communications with everything that you're doing and to kind of share the load and having a some sort of agreement, I guess, even if it's just informal in like a piece of paper or something like that, is always good, just to manage your expectations, I guess. And also for any musicians that are looking into having a band, if you want to decide whether to pursue music as a solo artist or as a band, just list out the pros and cons, figure out what your goals are, what your needs are, and then decide from there. Thank you, Chiara. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as well. Please follow us on Instagram if you haven't already, and we're also on TikTok. And stay tuned on Spotify, because we release episodes every fortnightly. If you like this episode, please give us a rate too. 5-star would be incredible, amazing. Thank you so much. And awesome. Thanks, Chiara.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks for having me.